Friends, do you know what is inflation and what are the reasons for inflation and how can inflation be controlled? In 5 minutes, I will just tell you what is inflation and how it happens and how can it be overcome. Now, when in an economy the demand is high and supply is not able to meet our demand, then there is inflation. Obviously, if the supply is falling short of demand, that means supply is not able to compete with demand, then this type of situation leads to rise in the price. The price increases and as a result there is inflation. Now, can it not strike our mind that why demand increases? There are different reasons why demand increases, but one prime reason that we have discovered that demand increases because people will have more purchasing power. Once you have more purchasing power, obviously you will have more demand. Now, why will these consumers have more purchasing power? Consumers will have more purchasing power when they get loans from the commercial banks on very easy terms. Consumers can go to bank and get loans, and that means there is more money in circulation to be used for purchase of goods and services. Now, where from this money is coming? From the commercial banks. And commercial banks are giving more money in the economy or more circulating more money in the economy because our central bank, which controls other commercial banks, do not impose any restriction. So if there is lesser restriction, commercial banks can easily expand the money circulation in economy. They can go for expansion of money circulation in the economy by giving more and more loans. Now, during inflation, as I have just told you, that because people can get loans from commercial banks which they can use for demanding more goods, so that's why there is inflation. So there is a need that we impose restrictions on commercial banks not to give loans. These restrictions are imposed by Reserve Bank of India so that the commercial banks' ability to give loans can be restricted. During inflation, this happens, but opposite of inflation is deflation. Deflation is just the opposite of inflation, as I said. What happens there? The demand is actually falling in relation to supply. So we have a lot of supply in the market or the economy, but demand for the goods and services are very low, as we have experienced during the pandemic of 2020, that is COVID-19, where we have seen the demand has drastically dropped in relation to the supply. So, and most of the economies had gone at a downside. That means there was a kind of economic slowdown. Now this results into deflation. So opposite of inflation is deflation. So as a result of this, the price of goods and services dropped. So price of goods and services drops because people do not demand more. People do not demand more because they are not taking loans from the banks more. Okay, why they are not taking loans? There could be a reason that the commercial banks are being imposed with lot of restrictions. In the former case, what I discussed, during inflation they don't have restrictions, but during deflation there are a lot of restrictions. So since price has gone very down, that's not good for the economy. So commercial banks should be encouraged to give more loan. It's just the opposite of inflation. There we have to restrict the commercial banks from giving loan, but during deflation we have to encourage them to give more and more loans. Now friends, this is what is called inflation. And why it happens? As you have seen, it happens because of certain restrictions which results into deflation, or it happens because of less restriction which results into inflation. Restrictions by whom? By the central bank. On whom? On the commercial bank. Now friends, how can this be tackled? This can be tackled by the Reserve Bank of India, or in case of other countries, any other country, the central bank, the respective central bank through their policies. So basically there are two sets of policy, monetary policy and fiscal policy, which can be used to control inflation. So friends, by this time now you know what is inflation, rise in price. Why it happens? Because of more demand. Why more demand? Because of more money in the circulation. Why more money in the circulation? Because commercial banks have less restrictions. RBI encourages the bank to give more loans. So this should be controlled. And there are two mechanisms, as I've already said, monetary and fiscal. So friends, in the next video, we will talk about these policies. Till then, take care. Bye-bye.